Actually, at the time I'm filming this video, we still have 5 stars on Airbnb, and we've been hosting for 2.5 years now. In this video, I'm going to explain how we've done it through 10 tips. My last tip goes against conventional wisdom, so stay tuned for that. I'm Susie, I'm American, and I've been living in France now for over 15 years. During COVID, my husband and I converted our garage into a short-term rental. I'll link below to a video in which I explain how we did it for just under 30,000 euros, and another video where I give you a tour of the space. So how do we have over 100 5-star reviews on Airbnb? We try to go above and beyond in lots of different ways. First, our equipment is top-notch, especially compared to our competitors. In our short-term rental, we have air conditioning, a washer, a dryer, a dishwasher, smart TVs, a soundbar, built-in speakers, and our guests really love these things. I remember hearing somewhere that guests don't want to stay somewhere that's just a little bit worse than their homes. They want to stay somewhere that's as good, if not even maybe a little bit better than what they're used to when they're on vacation. There's one listing in our city that's very comparable to ours that I look at frequently to compare how reserved they are ahead of time and their prices. And one thing I noticed is that they don't have air conditioning and that they don't have a dryer. Not having air conditioning or a dryer doesn't prevent them from being booked all the time or having great reviews, but maybe it gives us a little bit of an advantage. And we're able to charge a little bit more as well. Some guests have even specifically told us they chose our place because we have air conditioning or a dryer. So next, we're constantly reinvesting to try to make the space just a little bit better for our guests and also to improve the way that we manage it as well. So for example, we invested in some sound bars. We have changed out the comforter covers. We bought baby equipment for our guests when we realized that it was something that we would need regularly. And also we tried to make the outdoor space just a little bit more comfortable for the guests. The short-term rental is right behind our house, so we really wanted to make the guests feel like they had their own private space. For example, we put up this wall between their space and our space to give them a little more privacy. And we also installed this camo netting, which we used to have sun sails up, and whenever it would rain, we'd have to take them down and then put them back up again. So the sun sails just make the operations for us a lot easier because we don't have to worry about whenever it rains anymore. And it looks nice. So these are not expensive things, but they have both improved the guest experience and even made our lives a little bit simpler as well in some cases. Next, we keep our short-term rental stocked with everything we think that the guests might need. So for example, we have dishwasher pods, detergent, paper towels, sponges, dish soap, hand soap, shampoo, body wash, Q-tips, makeup remover, lots of toilet paper, lots of tissues, everything we think they could possibly need. Condiments, oil, vinegar, salt, pepper, coffee, creamers, tea, sugar, all of the basics so that the guests have everything that they need when they're staying here. I even keep toothbrushes on hand just in case, but no one has ever asked me for one. Make sure that access to your short-term rental is easy. I used to think that people wanted a completely automated experience, but then I realized it's not necessarily that they want an automated experience, they just want something that's easy for them. So I used to, sit inside the house and watch people as they arrived, and I didn't want to interact with them because I didn't want to make them feel uncomfortable. But now I realize that interaction with people, when I usually show them how to access the short-term rental, sometimes it's the only time I ever even get to interact with them at all because the rest of the time they're here, they're completely independent. And also it's nice, we get to chat, I can give them some recommendations, help them with their luggage, etc. What I realized over time is that people don't necessarily want an automated check-in process, they want a clear and easy check-in process. Ours is actually pretty complicated. You have to come in off the street, go to a key box, get a badge, go to the short-term rental behind our house, figure out how the electronic key works. And it's fine, if I'm not home, then people figure it out on their own. It's no problem because I have really explicit step-by-step instructions in the Airbnb platform. But that's what's necessary, I think, is just to make sure that your access is easy or it's clear for your guests. And another little bonus tip would be to ask friends or family members to test your check-in procedure just to make sure that it's clear before you go live with your listing. People know from our listing that they're staying right behind our house. I tried to make that abundantly clear in our listing. So I think that anyone who really wanted a completely automated experience probably wouldn't choose our listing because the guests that stay with us, they know that they will inevitably have some interaction with us at some point. Actually, with time, I think that some people choose our listing because they know that we're here and they know that they will at some point have some type of authentic interaction with local people. Still, we're really careful to respect our guests' privacy. It's inevitable that we're going to cross paths with them or that they're going to see us or our kids at some point during their stay. But we try to give them their space, and we just want them to have a really calm, relaxing experience. Our place is great because they don't have to have, there's no neighbors, there's no one above them or on the side of them or other hotel guests or an elevator noise that would keep them awake at night. So that's definitely a plus as well. Next, we are complete maniacs about cleanliness. We have our routine down. We have our jobs set. We've even trained family members so that other people can help us out occasionally. But you have to be really stringent with cleanliness. Next, we always stay on top of any maintenance issues. Little things happen. The faucet broke. The throw pillows got stained. The grout in the shower started to look a little bit icky. But we're really quick to fix those things immediately because we don't want it to impact the guest's experience. Also, don't hesitate to ask for constructive advice from your guests. Your guests are going to have excellent feedback for you because they are the people who are staying in the short-term rental. And so we never hesitated to ask our guests, and they were very, very helpful and gave us good constructive feedback as well. For example, it was one of our guests who told us that we should have a little nightlight in the bathroom, which was a great idea. Next, we respond as quickly as possible to guest messages. For one thing, we have instant booking on in Airbnb, which I'll talk about again in another video. So when someone reserves our place instantly, they do get an automatic message, which is great because sometimes when people reserve, we're asleep. So we don't necessarily see the reservation until the next day, but they do get an automatic response from us. Otherwise, if people are sending us messages to ask questions about parking or restaurants or any other logistical questions once they've made the reservation, my husband and I sort of have an unofficial policy that whoever sees the message first will respond because we're co-hosts. And I do think that that responsiveness is also really crucial. It's also crucial to set realistic expectations. Our listing looks exactly like what you get in real life, so there are no bad surprises. We also list all of the amenities that we have so that people know exactly what they're getting when they reserve. And finally, here's the one thing that we don't actually do. I never explicitly ask guests for 5-star reviews. At first, I sort of heard online that this was something that some hosts did. And I know that even in the little brochure that I left in the apartment, I said something to guests about, oh, I hope you have a 5-star stay when you're staying with us. And I even wrote out a little automatic message that I was going to send to people after they had checked out, asking them for a 5-star review. But it just made me feel a little bit uncomfortable, and I never actually sent out the message. And we still get 5-star reviews all the time. So I don't think it's necessary to explicitly ask people for a 5-star review. Also, some people just don't leave reviews, and that's fine as well. I was panicked about that at first. I thought that that would be a big deal, that it would negatively affect us if every guest didn't review us. But in the end, it's fine. I think probably 85 to 90% of guests actually write a review. And for us, they've all been really positive, so that's great. So just to sum up, this is how we have maintained 5 stars on Airbnb for over 2.5 years. First, we started out with great amenities that guests really appreciate. We've continued reinvesting in our short-term rental property. We always keep the apartment stocked with absolutely everything we think travelers might need. We made sure that access to the rental is easy for guests. Next, we're totally obsessive when it comes to cleaning. We stay on top of maintenance issues. We ask for constructive guest feedback. We try to respond to guests immediately. And we set realistic expectations with a super accurate listing. Finally, one thing we don't do, explicitly ask for 5-star reviews. So what are we going to do when we get our first non-5-star review? Well, I'll definitely make a video about that because I know it's going to happen one day and we'll be devastated, I'm sure, but it's not going to be as bad as it would have been if it had happened when we first started hosting guests, because we've had so much positive feedback over the past 2.5 years that we'll probably just assume it was just some unhappy camper and that there was nothing that we could really do about it, because up until this point, we have really managed to keep our guests happy. So I know it's going to happen, but we'll deal with it. So that's how we've managed to keep our 5-star review on Airbnb for over 2.5 years. If you're an Airbnb host, maybe you have some other tips as well that you could leave in the comments below. Also, I wanted to mention that it probably seems like we have everything figured out now, but this has been an ongoing process, and it did take us a while to put all of these systems in place. Next, don't miss this video where I give you a tour of our short-term rental, or this video where I explain how we did all of the work for just under 30,000 euros. And you can check out our Airbnb listing in the link below as well. If you're thinking about becoming an Airbnb host, there's a link below as well that you can use. Both you and I would receive a bonus if you use this link. And if you do use my link, I'll be happy to give you some feedback as you're setting up your listing. Check out the other videos on my channel if you're interested in more tips for how to run a short-term rental. Let me know if you have any other questions in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and a bientôt!